Stand at any railway crossing. Look down, you'll see stones, thousands of them, rough, angular, gray. They're everywhere, from the Mumbai-Delhi line to the Amtrak Northeast Corridor. Every single rail line sits on crushed rock. Why? It's not decoration. It's not tradition. It's a load distribution system that's been solving a $47 billion problem since 1830. Those stones, engineers call them track ballast, are the only thing stopping a 10,000-ton freight train from sinking into the dirt and buckling the rails. And yeah, there's a reason they're jagged, not smooth. There's a reason they're granite, not river pebbles. There's a reason modern high-speed rail still uses them, even though we've got concrete and steel. Let's break it down. The weight problem. A fully loaded freight train weighs roughly 20 million pounds. That's 10,000 tons pressing down on 2 steel rails, each maybe 6 inches wide. If you bolted those rails straight to dirt, the pressure per square inch would pulverize the soil. The track would sink, the geometry would warp. Derailment in under a month. Track ballast spreads that load. The stones sit under wooden or concrete sleepers, and the sleepers sit under the rails. When the train passes, the weight transfers from rail to sleeper to stone, then finally to the earth below. The ballast distributes those 10,000 tons across a bed that's 6 feet wide and 2 feet deep. The pressure on the soil drops by 90%. The ground doesn't collapse. This isn't new science. It's been the standard since George Stephenson laid the Stockton and Darlington Railway in 1825. You can't cheat physics. You either spread the load or you rebuild the track every 6 months. Why crushed stone, not smooth pebbles? Pick up a piece of track ballast. It'll cut your hand. The edges are sharp, the faces are rough, and the shape is irregular. That's intentional. Smooth stones roll. If you used river pebbles or beach gravel, the vibration from a passing train would shake them loose. The stones would shift. The track would drift sideways. Curves would become straights. Straights would become curves. You'd need constant realignment. Crushed granite or quartzite doesn't roll. The angular edges interlock under compression. When the stones are tamped into place, they bite into each other and form a rigid matrix. The track stays put, even when a 200-nph bullet train leans into a banked turn. This is the same reason concrete aggregate is crushed, not rounded. It's mechanical interlock. The rougher the surface, the higher the coefficient of friction. You're not building a Zen garden. You're building a foundation that resists lateral displacement under cyclic loading. Drainage and erosion control solid concrete slabs don't drain. Bare dirt turns to mud. Track ballast is porous by design. When it rains, water flows straight through the gaps between the stones and into the subgrade. The track bed stays dry. The sleepers don't rot. The steel doesn't rust as fast. In India, where monsoon seasons drop 40 inches of rain in 3 months, ballast is the difference between operational track and a washed-out rail line. The U.S. freight industry moves $700 billion in goods annually. A single washout can shut down a main line for days and cost $2 million in repairs and lost revenue. Ballast prevents that. It's a $3 per ton insurance policy against erosion. Weed suppression. You don't see vegetation growing between the rails. That's because a 12-inch layer of sharp, compacted stone is hostile to plant roots. If weeds took hold, their roots would destabilize the ballast, crack the sleepers, and trap moisture. You'd have to send maintenance crews out every week. Some rail operators spray herbicides. Class Y railroads in the U.S. spend roughly $60 million a year on vegetation management. The ballast does most of the work for free. It's a passive weed barrier that requires zero labor. The naval connection. The word ballast comes from ships. In the 1600s and 1700s, empty merchant vessels were too light to sail safely. Captains would load the hold with stones, usually granite or sandstone, to lower the center of gravity. When they reached port and loaded cargo, they'd dump the stones on the shore. By the early 1800s, ports like Liverpool and Bristol had mountains of discarded ship ballast. Railway engineers looking for cheap, durable material bought it by the ton. The stones went straight from ship to track. The term stuck. It's not sentiment, it's inventory turnover. Why quarry new stone when you've got 50,000 tons sitting on the docks? Why not concrete slabs? Some modern systems use slab track. The rails sit on a continuous concrete bed with no stones. It's quieter, it requires less maintenance, and it's standard on certain high-speed lines in Japan and Germany. But it costs 60% more to install. And if you need to adjust the track geometry, if the ground settles or the alignment drifts, you can't just tamp the ballast. You have to jackhammer the concrete and pour a new slab. That's downtime. That's lost revenue. Ballast is flexible. You can lift the track, add or remove stones, and re-tamp in under an hour. For freight operators running on thin margins, that flexibility is worth the extra maintenance. Final word. Next time you're waiting at a level crossing, look down. Those stones aren't decoration. They're a $3 billion global industry built on crushed granite, friction coefficients, and 200 years of iterative design. They're the reason a 10,000-ton train doesn't sink into the mud. They're the reason water drains instead of pooling. They're the reason weeds don't crack the sleepers. They're not romantic. They're not high-tech. They're just rocks doing exactly what they're supposed to do. If you want more breakdowns of everyday infrastructure that actually matters, hit subscribe. No fluff, no filler. Just the engineering and the money behind the things you walk past every day.